So you may remember the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the pyramid. So what many people do is they work their way up the pyramid and they start with their physical needs first. And that's, human nature, right? It's your biological need to take care of your physical needs. And then you work on to the next two safety needs, which you talked about how to break through the safety and security needs, because that is a powerful human um, condition, if you will. Then it's esteem needs and relationship needs, and then self-actualization. Well, what happens if you're working your way up the pyramid and you run out of time? Or what happens if you work your way up the pyramid and I find sometimes people's pyramids just keep getting bigger, right? So you reach this level of production or you reach this, you have success, but then you look around and you go, well, this is it. What is this? And so the idea of flipping time or flipping the pyramid is to put self-actualization first. And once you do that, I find everything becomes better. And this is why. When you are doing, it's called a lot of different things. Some people call it meaningful work. Some people call it bliss. That's what Joseph Campbell in the Hero's Journey calls it. Some people call it a zone of genius. Whatever it is, it's going to be your passion. And if you're talking about production, like real estate, well, what's the meaningful work for a real estate agent? It's lead generation, right? And yet, what do the real estate agents do? They work on all the lower level, tasks first, right? So if we can even make this be a real estate conversation or a productivity conversation, you flip the time and you put those first, okay? And what happens is everything else gets better. So in my experience, you are more in tune with your identity, what your calling is. That's what it's called in the heroine's journey or hero's journey, the call to adventure, or your call to contribution, or your call to whatever your idea of creativity is. Then you're going to have better esteem needs. Your relationships are going to be better because you're going to be happier, right? You're going to be doing what you were meant to be doing. And it's sort of like when a rainmaker is lead generating, everybody else is happier, right? Because a rising tide's raising all those boats. And that then leads to what's the greatest security and safety there is, right? That you're achieving what your purpose is. And same with your physical needs, right? So if you're putting your self-care first, which is a meaningful, your health span is actually one of your greatest assets. You're doing those things first, and the physical needs are going to be taken care of as well.
Dude, I love what you just said is when you take care of that highest need, right? The self-actualization. And really, again, this can come down to those most important things that we need to be doing in our business. If you want to get down to just a task-oriented conversation, it's, if I'm prospecting, if I'm saying intentionally every single day, if I'm making darn sure, not that I make a certain number of calls, but that I get a certain number of appointments every day, right? So if I know no matter what, I'm going to hit my 1 appointment a day or 2 appointments a day or whatever that number is, doing that. And this is what I think people have a hard time drawing this conclusion or drawing this, kind of this flow, understanding how this really works. But if I really do that, it really does improve all of the other areas in my life. Now, there's a point at which we have to say, time out, got to have some personal time, right? So it's not enough to just say, okay, I'm going to go prospect all the time. I'm going to go set appointments all the time. And I'm going to forget about my family. And I'm going to forget about my spiritual life. And I'm going to forget about my health and all this other stuff.